Sometimes I'm presented with evidence that I might be more of a pushover than I usually think I am. I went to an Italian restaurant earlier and ordered a root beer, and the waitress said, "Just so you know, root beers aren't refillable. Is that okay?" And I said yes with zero hesitation. I didn't even mildly think about it. I was just like, oh, this thing I've never not expected isn't the case, and that's instantly fine. She didn't say drinks aren't refillable, just the root beer. What's so special about this root beer? I ordered a 10-inch pizza afterwards, and I feel like after I did that, she could have been like, just so you know, you can order and pay for your meal up front, but we're not actually gonna make or bring your food out to you. Is that okay? And I would have been like, oh yeah, of course, I'm an accommodating person. I'm far too concerned with the comfort of the general public. If I got mugged in a restaurant and the dude was like, "Give me all your money!" my first reaction would be, can you at least keep it down? There's people eating in here. If anyone I'm with starts making a scene or even just talking slightly louder than I would deem socially respectful, I want to retreat into my shell and get drop-kicked to a remote location where nobody's glancing annoyed in my general direction. Which is so contrary to my feelings about humanity. I don't give a shit about the well-being of random people until I'm near them, and then that's all I concern myself with. It's probably my paranoia. I save money by being my own therapist. In my mind, the more content everyone around me is, the less likely they are to randomly decide to single me out and murder me. And I do think that's how I'll die. If my worst fear comes to fruition and it turns out I'm not actually immortal, I will go down by a random act of violence or just randomosity in general. Think of all the ants you step on every day of your life without it even occurring to you that ants are under your feet. Now imagine one of those ants was a comedic musical genius destined to shake up as many industries as possible. I'm that ant, and I am crushed before I register the shadow over my head. That is how I die. When you hear about a tornado on the news that injured 8 people and killed 1, I'm the dead guy. When you hear about an accident where they're like, thankfully no one was hurt, you missed a body count because I was in that accident and I'm dead. I don't know how you didn't notice the fresh corpse in the front seat of that bus, but I am gone, and that is why I don't use public transportation. My whole life is just me worrying that I'm unknowingly starring in the next Final Destination movie. It makes going outside stressful, and I love people who don't understand mental illness in the slightest being like, you just have to let that shit go. Oh, is that all? Damn, this guru just fixed my life in 5 seconds. I'm forever in your debt. I don't know why I didn't just try curing myself from the beginning. It's like going up to someone with cancer, like, are you drinking enough water? Have you tried not having cancer? That's what works for me. And I get that some people use their disorders or illnesses as a shield from behavioral criticism. There's stuff they could work on, but they'd rather wrap themselves in the cocoon of disability. Like people in wheelchairs being dicks all day long going, what? My legs don't work? Why should my consideration? In that case, maybe your mouth shouldn't work either. Nothing going on with you gives you carte blanche to be an indiscriminate asshole in real life. I don't care if you're Helen Keller reborn. If you go around rudely sign languaging at everyone, you should be beaten the shit out of once a week. Then they can leave a note in Braille so you know what you did. We need to bring back cruel and unusual punishment, and normalize it enough so that it's just called punishment. Then use it on people who are intolerable even if they're not breaking any laws. Maybe you can't teach decency this late in the game, but you can scare dicks with the consequences of the opposite. Next time someone's heckling at a comedy club, have them taken into a back room of the club recently built specifically for this purpose, and then just force feed them tomatoes until they promise never to do it again. It's symbolic, isn't it? Tomatoes being thrown onto the stage is the oldest form of audience disapproval, back when everyone was a farmer and just had tomatoes on themselves for some reason. If someone's disrupting a movie theater because they don't like what they're watching, you take them in a back room of the theater recently built specifically for this purpose, and then force feed them rotten tomatoes and popcorn. Retribution from the critics and audience alike. Mostly when people don't like things I want them traumatically humiliated. That's what this really boils down to. But we're so focused on enforcing laws that nobody's on top of unwritten rules of etiquette, you know? Where's the etiquette police to start tasing people that are rude to cashiers for no reason? Or blame everyone else when they try to use an expired coupon because they're fucking idiots who don't understand the hidden nuances of a calendar? Dude, if you're old and you've reached an age where you're just gonna be shitty 24 hours a day, it's time to die. Senior citizens should be monitored and lethally injected on the street as soon as they're deemed too perpetually dickish for society. I don't have sympathy for old people. You're fucking done. Get out of here. You're gonna repay the world that facilitated 84 years of your life with a bad attitude? Repay it with your death. It's a much fairer compensation. Go be buried next to your wife and finally fill fill the left side of the plot you bought 15 years ago. Your gravestone can read, "Now we're both food for maggots." How romantic. Cemeteries are a waste of space. The only time you should be buried is in a hastily dug grave by the person who just murdered you. I think everyone should be cremated and have their ashes flown over Italy and constantly sprinkled down onto the people of Pompeii just to make fun of them. Every time a shipment comes in, "Oh shit, Vesuvius is erupting again!" Oh wait, no, it's just more corpse dust. You like having corpse dust in jars in your house? You take comfort thinking that Grandpa is watching over you from the mantle and then just staring at a wall for 12 hours when you go to sleep every night? Boy, it sure is fun being a jar. I don't get people who have wishes for their ashes. Like, spread my ashes on the beach. I want to be trampled on by children, and then at night couples can fuck on me. Okay, Grandma, didn't know you were still into that. How we deal with death is so ritualized. I don't know how we've become okay with how culty it is. Like, someone dies, and then you have them drained of their blood and pumped full of preservational fluid, which is advanced mummification without the bandages, is all that is. Then you have a guy do their makeup and shit, and make them nice and pretty because worms like their meals to look good. Then you place them in a wooden box. You have an entire fucking gathering ceremony where people can come up and stare at the body and talk to it. Then they talk about it to everyone else. Finally, when everyone's done fondling the corpse, they lower it into the ground and bury it like a treasure chest full of gold and jewels. Now that I think about it, I actually want to be buried in a treasure chest. Like, make a convoluted treasure map to be released posthumously after I die, and say it's filled with all sorts of trinkets and shit, but then the map just leads to my coffin and my rotting dead body. That would be good for a laugh. But yeah, we treat death very weirdly. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like, share, and subscribe and whatnot, and I'll see you guys next time.